In the end, you need to own your career. It's your life. Do not trust me or anyone else with it. Planning your career. Most of you know who I am, but some of you are new. I am Vice President of Twitch Prime at Amazon. And these slides say confidential. Honestly, I was too lazy to remove the footer. There's nothing confidential in them. Because when I speak here, I don't normally represent Amazon or Twitch, although I was going to be speaking on behalf of Amazon over at Boise State. Anyway, look. Let's talk about how to get your career started fast and right. So many students don't have much exposure to the mechanics of career. And what the hell is a career? What's a career mean? Like, to date, it's been go to class, get grades, lather, rinse, repeat. So my goal today is to simply help you understand what career means and then get you off to a good start. In the idea of getting you off to a good start, this is a phrase I coined maybe up to 10 years ago that you can use. If you take nothing else away from everything I say today, if you want to go back to your hangover or go have breakfast, just remember results are the currency of credibility. You can talk, you can be smart, you can be educated, you can be very social. In the end, your career is going to be determined by whether or not you deliver things of value. And bad news, Bernie Sanders supporters, which I'm not anti-Bernie exactly, but you need to just know results normally boil down to things that make companies money. And so money, things that result in value, usually in dollars or the local currency of your place, are the currency of credibility. Because when you make the company money, when you accomplish things of value, then you get listened to and you move on in your career. All right, enough on that. So people on my channel know this really well, but I've never put it in a single slide before. If you want to remember more than just the one line on the one slide, you want to remember one whole additional slide, here you go. The magic loop of career growth, written down for the first time ever, by me at least. Do your current job well. Whatever job you have, whatever job you take out of college, whatever internship you get, do the work. More on how to do it well in a minute. Next slide. Then ask your boss, how can I help you? And some of you are saying or thinking, I'm going to be a freelancer. I don't have a boss. I'm going to start my own company. I don't have a boss. I am an independent free spirit. I don't have a boss. Yeah, you do. Somebody else is giving you your money, even if that's a customer, a contractor, or a bunch of venture capitalists. You have a boss. You can ask this question. You may have to ask it metaphorically if you truly run your own company, and God bless you. But like we have Sean123 runs his own company. I don't know if Hephaestus is here. He does as well. We all have a boss. True. They can tell you they have a boss. Sean may defer to his wife, which should be smart. But you ask how you can help. Then whatever they say, do it. Okay, the worst thing as a manager is someone asks me, hey, how can I help you? What could I do to be more useful? How could I grow my career? And I'm saying, well, you could do this. And they're like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Okay, you just went from like, here's some credibility, I like you, to like, oh, all right, high maintenance. That's not what you want to be. It doesn't mean you always have to do shit work. Wait for steps 4 and 5. But the first time you ask, do the work. You may hear me sniffing a bit, by the way. Ligerbox advised me I use a steroid spray for allergies. And he said, in the world of Corona, you don't want steroids suppressing your immune system. So that may mean that I'm more congested than usual. Vash Cowboy, we are all good for this early in the morning. It is very early. All right. So after you do what your boss has told you he or she would like done, then you go back and you say, hey, boss, I'd like to learn more about X. Is there a way I can help you doing that? So you start asking for assignments in the area you want. Now, important, if the boss says, I don't have that right now, I could really use help with this other thing, up to a certain point, you should try to be flexible and do what is needed. But generally, the way the magic loop is supposed to work is if your boss gets to like you because you're helpful, they will start trying to help you in return. It's called a social contract. And yes, there are evil, bad managers who exploit people and, who've read Machiavelli's The Prince and think they're very smart, or read the 48 Laws of Power and think they're really cool. Gustav Wow, you have another Twitch staff with a long, unpronounceable name. Gustav Voorhees. You are very welcome. But most normal bosses will start trying to help you out. So you get to the bottom part of this loop, and this is the lather, rinse, repeat loop of shampooing in the shower, right? Ask, can I do this thing that will help me learn? What could I do that will help me learn this new programming language, this new financial model, this new type of legal contract, this new way to design and draw? Whatever it is you're trying to learn, this new way to design circuits, this new part of the fabrication process. You do it, and then you go back and repeat. And so the magic loop, the loop part is at the bottom. Step 4, ask. Step 5, do it. Step 4, ask. Step 5, do it. You do this, and your career will go very well. Now, we're going to talk about having a career plan in a few minutes, and we will get to my usual rant. And at that point, I will rant about having a plan. Because rants are fun. But you have to have a plan in order to do this. You actually don't have a plan. You don't need to have a plan up through step 3. Step 4, you have to start having some kind of clue of what you would like to do. Let's move on, though. How do you get good at your current job? Well, you're going to need to learn to love and accept critical feedback. How can you know if you're good at a job if you're afraid to ask or afraid to hear, or if your ego is so fragile you can't stand being told what people think? If you're in college right now, you are used to getting graded. It's pretty easy. Do the work, get a grade, move on. And bonus, if you don't like your professor, he or she will be gone at the end of the semester. Work is not like this. The boss stays around. You don't get a written letter grade. You have to actually ask. And so, here's what I would say about that. Ask other people what they think of you. And in this case, I don't mean what they think of you as a human being. I mean what they think of your work. Face your fear. It's usually, by the way, people are pretty nice because they don't want to be the a-hole who looked at you and said, well, you kind of suck. They'll always, even if they think you kind of suck, they'll try and find some good things to say. And so face your fear. Next part. Listen to what they say, though, especially the places where you can improve. Understand, and this is important, that the perception of those needs is itself a problem. What I mean is, you may be like, I am not loud. I do not talk over people in meetings. Feedback I get all the time. It actually doesn't matter if the person's right or wrong. And what I mean by that is, that's how you're landing on people. So the fact that you think you're very quiet and very considerate and that you always ask everyone around the room what they think and you're very inclusive doesn't matter if the other people think you're loud, abrasive, and not inclusive. You have to deal with the perception. And so a lot of people struggle with like, well, I don't think their feedback's right. Well, their feedback is right in their eyes and they have influence on your career. So it doesn't mean you have to be all things to all people, but this does mean that you need to be willing to look at it and see what you can improve. And if those people have power, you have to address their perception. So you can ask them why. You can ask them for more details. You can ask them what changes you could make or to give you ongoing feedback. Look, this slide is packed. Feedback is a gift. You have to learn to say thank you, even if the feedback sucks. Some folks in my channel, by the way, have heard this story before, but this is good coaching for all of you, and particularly for students starting out. If someone offers you feedback, my natural tendency is to defend myself and say, I am not loud and abrasive, unless I know I am, which I know I'm loud at least, hopefully not too abrasive. But if I get feedback I don't like, my first thing to protect my ego and protect how I feel is to defend myself. So long ago at Twitch, I had someone ask me, this person is gone, so I can mention what happened. This woman came to me and said, I'd like some feedback on how I and my group are doing. And I said, sure, that's great. I'd love to give you some feedback. And then I told her something I thought her group could do better, and she immediately started arguing with me. You can be sure, number one, my respect for her went down immediately because she immediately rejected everything I had said. And number two, I never bothered to give her feedback again. I'm just like, well, that's a closed door. If you want to be able to improve, you're going to need to be able to accept feedback and say, thank you so much. What would help with that? What could I do? You don't have to do it all. Nobody expects you to be perfect. Okay. Next part, work on your development needs. This is going to be a tough part of managing your career. And here's the lesson in this I've learned the hard way. Anything easy to fix about your personality, you probably already would have. You go to school, you go to class, you have a job. People like you or dislike you already. They've given you feedback. The stuff that was really easy for you to change, like, hey, maybe if I'm going to stream, I should put on a nice shirt so I look more professional on a Saturday morning. Those are easy changes, so I put on the shirt. But if it's something you struggle with more, it's going to be hard. So, for example, I am very loud and forceful, and that lands on some people like I'm a blowhard. I don't want to be a blowhard, but that's how some people, they're like, oh yeah, Ethan, he interrupts me all the time. I try not to do that. Maybe I'm getting better at it. But the things that you need to fix in your career, they're not easy, because the easy ones you clip off and you're done. That means you're left only with the hard ones. All right, this is how you get good at your job. If you're asking questions in the question extension, I will get to them. There's only about 12 slides here, and we're on number 4, so this won't take long. Okay, for those of you who are new to careers, let's talk about the process basics, like how does this work in real life? The mechanics of careers are pretty simple. Most companies formally evaluate careers. They have a formal evaluation process, typo in the slides, once to twice a year. You get a self-review where you write up how you think you have done. Your peers often get a chance to say how they think you've done or what they think you can improve and what you're great at. And then your manager reviews you. Those are the guys in the bottom corner. You can also at this point set and review goals. Note, if your company has a goal process, or even if it doesn't, this is a good time to ask, hey boss, what are my main goals for the next 30 days or next 90 days or for this year? What are the company's main goals and how can I contribute to them? By the way, these are 5-head questions for those of you who are Twitch watchers. These are 5-head big questions you can ask that your boss will be like, wow, this person thinks, they're interested. Now remember, if you ask, what can I do and what are my goals, and then you don't do those things, that will turn into shit for you. But if you ask and then do those things, you'll be ahead of everyone around you because they never ask. And we talk about this in chat all the time in my channel. We talk about how people don't ask managers about their careers. You would think people ask about their career, they ask about their goals, they're having those discussions. They're not. Most people go through their life in their careers, sadly, confused and unhappy, unsure exactly what they're supposed to do or how they're doing because they don't ask and because bad managers don't tell. And so we're in like the old military policy, don't ask, don't tell, in a new context. And that policy isn't going to work any better in your career than it probably did there. Remember, bad decisions make good stories. All right. The other thing to remember is promotions are usually evaluated. Not all companies do this. Some people do promotions separately. But how you're rated, your performance review absolutely factors into whether or not you're considered to be promoted. And for those of you that are new to careers, that are students, promotion is like graduation. I had this talk before. I did this not too long ago. A simple way to understand career, if you are a college student, you go to college for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, hopefully only 4, or 5, and you're learning. That's the development part of your life. You're developing, you're getting new skills, you're learning new things. Graduation is like being promoted, or promoted is like graduation. When you actually get to the end of all you're supposed to do and you've learned all the skills and passed all the tests, you get moved on to a new job. In that case, your new job is paying off your student debt. But in that new job, you have new responsibilities and you're acknowledged as having accomplished certain things. In the career world, you move from software development engineer to senior software engineer to principal or architect. These are steps. You learn the skills, you get promoted. Same with me. I started as a manager. I became a senior manager, a director, a vice president. Those are promotions. Along the way, I was learning. That's my coursework. All right. Cool. The most important thing on this slide, I'll always try and call out what you need to remember. You may have a performance evaluation once or twice a year, but performance is actually evaluated all year. I see some people want to be plumbers and want to do all kinds of things. Since this was for Boise State, I'm mostly addressing college students today, but we can talk about all of that in the question section coming up. All right, let's keep rolling. So what the hell is performance? What do we talk about? When I'm a manager and I'm thinking about performance, what's it look like? These are the performance criteria for a job. Number 1, you got to be good at the core of the job. If you're an artist, you better be good at drawing. If you're an engineer, you better be good at coding. If you're an electrical engineer, you better be good at circuit design or power system design. Lawyers better be good at writing contracts and briefs. That if your core skill isn't good, the rest of it doesn't matter. If you can't do the job, the basic heart of the job, you better fix that or change careers. Because if you're not good at it, you're done. Then we look at, I also cover forced ratings. Art Miller, if you put it in the questions and people vote it up, I will. Otherwise, I won't. Because that's not really a college thing yet. But I'm happy to talk about it if you want. Productivity. We look at how much you get done. So you're good at it. Are you fast? Are you faster than your peers? Working with others. Are you a cancer, or are you one of those wonderful people that brings people together and inspires them? Matters a lot. You might think that only matters as a manager, but we don't actually want cave trolls anywhere in our teams. We don't want people who weigh others down and who are an emotional drain on our performers. So you can't be a prima donna. And be a drag on the rest of your team. Even if you're really good, we will not tolerate it for long. Some people get away with it, but usually not. And you better be really good. Track record. Some people hate this one. The point here is, I did really well, I should be done. Well, kind of. You did well once for a week. Have you done well repeatedly? And I'll tell you exactly why we care about this. The question is, were you lucky or were you good? It's very hard the first time you do a project, the first time you write a piece of code, to be sure that you're actually good as opposed to maybe you were lucky. So we look for a few samples. It's the same thing why there's a difference between I got an A in a particular course and my GPA is 4.0. A GPA of 4.0 indicates you got an A in all your courses. That's probably a stronger indication of your academic performance than the fact that you got an A in circuits or you got an A in compiler design. Again, thinking of the fact that a lot of the viewers today are engineers. Grit. This one's underlined and in bold because shit will go wrong. and more so than in college. Remember, classes are structured to mostly be doable. I know some professors suck, but mostly the classes in the curriculum are supposed to be achievable. Some of the stuff I get assigned to do at work and others get assigned, no one knows the solution. It's not like it's a problem and, oh, the TA has the answer key or look it up in the fraternity files to see what the answer was a couple years ago. It's not like that. Sometimes the problems are unknown. And so you have to overcome obstacles. The rest of the list, it does count to stand out, exceptional achievement, right? I would say standing out occasionally, as long as you don't stink the other times, will get you further than a high level of consistent but otherwise unremarkable achievement. That probably shouldn't be true, but it is. Having a few brilliant breakthroughs or bursts of really hard work while not being a laggard at the other times will probably get you further than just being really consistent. And we can say that's cosmically unfair. I'm trying to tell it like it is to help you. And we have a lot of new viewers here. I really appreciate you being here. One of my trademarks is I try to avoid being politically correct and just tell it like I think it is. And the truth is, standing out matters. All right, solid performance is the start of career development. Let's talk about career development. So these are some of my best zinger lines I've developed about career development, specifically around ownership. In the end, you need to own your career. It's your life. Do not trust me or anyone else with it. The way I phrase this that's very memorable is, look, let's say I'm your first manager in a new job, or wherever you work, I'm your manager. If your career was my responsibility to think about, plan for, and arrange, your career would be called my career, and I already have one. Managers, believe it or not, bosses, owners, are people too, and they have their own agendas. And when they wake up in the morning, they do not think, how can I help Sally the student? They think, how can I make more bank? How can I make my job easier? How can I put up my feet today and plan my vacation to Australia? How can I suck up to my boss? Whatever is on their mind. Could be, by the way, what's on their mind is I'm going through a terrible divorce. You do not want to leave your life and career in the hands of the person who's thinking about their terrible divorce. This is not a good idea. So, you have to own asking these questions, having a plan. And I said I'd rant about that at this point. So those of you who are my subs, it's time to put up the rants. This one comes by suggestion from one of our moderators, 40 Pink Dragons, who also was an executive in her career. Have some plan. Now, you're a student. You're like, I don't know what I want to do yet. How can I have a plan? Have a plan to explore. Pick something and decide, I'm not sure I'm going to like doing this, but I'm going to try getting good at that first. Have some kind of plan. Wandering around like, I'm going to try and get a job and then we'll see what happens will not be as effective as saying, okay, I have a job. I want to improve my functional skills, the technical skills I have, or I want to improve my working in a group, or I want to learn about this business. Have some plan. Here's the key. You're allowed to change the plan later. I did. I was an engineer. I ended up figuring out I wanted to be in management. I got put in management and liked it. I did that for a while. I found out I like to run businesses. So I had been a technical leader and I got the chance to run things that involved money. And I found out that making money was fun. It was a fun way to keep score and do good. Finally, I changed the plan again and said, I like to help people. I want to start a coaching channel where I can share what I know and teach others so their lives are less shit and they have more success. And so now I do that. Plans change, but have a plan. So that's the end of that rant. It was a short one, but a good one. All right. What managers should do is give you the tools and opportunities to succeed. If your manager's not doing that, ask for it. And if they still don't do it, it might be time to find a new boss. Not immediately, but if you work hard and follow the magic loop and you're not getting any support, go somewhere else. Do note, managers are not mind readers. Only you know where you want to go. All right. These are my opinion. They are nobody's policy, including Amazon. I don't speak for them here. But these are your employee bill of rights in my mind. You should expect this in a good workplace. And if you're not getting it, you should consider making a change. Number one, you have a right to reasonably stated goals. What the hell is it you want me to do? Number two, you have a right to a clearly stated evaluation of your performance. Your boss and your peers, but particularly your boss, ought to be able to tell you how you're doing. These are not rocket science. What do you want me to do? Great, I did it. How did I do? Simple questions in English or any of the other many languages those of you in chat speak. You do not have a right to a performance agreement review with which you fully agree. Some people think like, oh, I don't agree with that. You have to change it. This is not like helicopter parents in college where if you argue with the TA or the professor enough, they will change your grade because it's easier than fighting with you. If I think somebody's performance isn't up to par, then it's my actual job to keep telling you that, whether you like it or not. Now, it's also my job to help you with it. But understand, you may not agree with everything in your performance review. It could be that I'm wrong. It could be that you're wrong. It could be the truth is somewhere in the middle. You have a right to discuss your goals and performance with reasonable frequency. What this means is you can absolutely talk to your boss and say, how am I doing? What would it take to move up? How can I advance my career? But I would recommend you not do it so much that you nag them to death. And so not annoyingly so, because managers are human. And if you become annoying to them, they will stop helping you. And so you think you're advocating, but you're not providing enough value. And so it's a simple equation. Helping you takes time and mental energy from me. You've got to be worth it. If you're mostly nagging me and annoying me, you're not worth it. You can say that's mean, evil, bad, whatever. Bosses in workplaces have the power to help whom they choose. You can call it playing favorites. The equivalent in university is professors who have pets. Doesn't mean you have to suck up, but you do have to provide enough value that they want to invest in you. And I explain it humanly this way. I already work hard. To help you takes extra time. If you want extra help or extra input, I have to fit it in my schedule. I need to carve out another hour. Now that's an hour I could spend at home streaming or sitting with my feet up watching Prime Video or having a drink. You have to be worth more than a drink with my wife. That's a fairly high bar. Now, there are plenty of people in my workplace that I value. I won't say I value them more than a drink with my wife, but I value them more than some things I do. And so I put extra time into them. And then there are some people that I don't go out of my way because they don't go out of their way. All right. I see T Weirdo, who's one of our longtime subs, suggesting that viewers, and there's 250 of you, so there's a huge number, that you vote on the questions you want me to answer. This is the place where I do you a favor. I act like a remote control robot. You put in questions, and you, the audience, vote them up and down, and I answer them in the order you want. It's a great deal. I'm here taking my Saturday morning, happy to help you, and you get to control what I talk about. But it only works if you bother to vote. So, if you're wondering what to do, go vote. All right. Let's keep going. Mitigate weaknesses, exploit strengths. So, I probably need to update this to be like Steph Curry or LeBron James. The problem is, neither of them went and played baseball. So we have to go back to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was a better than average baseball player. He quit basketball to go play baseball, and he was good, way better than me, probably way better than you. He was playing in a AAA minor league team, and he wasn't ever going to make the major leagues, but most people can't play AAA ball, and he could. He woke up and said, you know what? I was the best basketball player in the world. Maybe rather than working on being a better baseball player, I should go be Jordan. And my advice to you is the same. You have to, as the top of the slide says, know your weaknesses and accept them. Like, I know I'm loud and I can run over some people. Mitigate them to where they don't hold you back. In my career, I've managed to be inclusive enough, particularly over time, that being forceful is more seen as an asset than a liability. I won't say it's never seen as a liability, but it's more in balance. And then I focus on my strengths. My strengths, hiring and developing teams, making quick decisions, inventing. I do those things. I don't spend more and more time all the time working on the weakness. I go deliver outsized value where I'm talented. I will be honest and say being in a hot area can help. Being in a good team that's growing, being in a good company, those things help. But the most important thing you can do is find a role where you can excel. Find something that is your passion that you can do where you will get straight A's and where it's easy. I know you want to be what you want to be, but if you really want to succeed, you're going to have to find a place that, yes, you like, but then you can really kill it. And so for me, I was a good engineer. I was a better manager. And so I went into leadership, management and leadership, and that worked for me. For you, it will be something different. But it's more important to be doing what you excel at than being in the hottest area. And my point here is don't chase the new project or the new group. Chase being an expert. All right, we're almost done with the slides. Performance beyond the basics. Focus on your current job performance. Make a difference in your team every day. Some of you who are longtime fans know I recommend this book, Eat That Frog. It talks about if you have a hard job to do, which is eating a frog, because most people don't want to eat a frog, but you have to do it first thing in the morning. We also talk about the book a lot here, Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. Read Extreme Ownership. The point is, get up every morning and do the hard thing and deliver value to your organization, and you will excel. This is one of those things that we say is simple but not easy. It's very simple to express. It takes practice and discipline to do. Do everything with a sense of urgency and drive to win. Push. Now, again, if you just want to hang out, get a job that's coasting, there are jobs like that. They're not that common, and they don't pay as well usually, but get a government job. Get some job. And I'm not picking on people in government. It's stereotypical. I'm picking on government, not people in government. Get a job where the expectations aren't too high and you can bump along if that will make you happy. But if you want to advance, which most people who have that massive pile of student debt do want to advance, urgency. Take on work that the business considers important. This is my point about results is the currency of credibility, where results equals money for the company indirectly. Impact is what matters. You may be busting your ass, but if it's on something no one cares about or on your personal interests, that will not move you as far along as doing a lesser amount of work on something the company considers important. All right. Perform well first. Talk to your manager about next steps second. This is Babe Ruth. Look, if you come to me and ask, how can I move up? What more can I do? How can I be promoted? And you haven't done very good work, I'm going to tell you, go do your work better. If you come to me after you crush it on a project, I'm going to say, hey, you really did good work. Yeah, I'd be happy to help you. And by the way, I do this all the time. I was talking to a woman yesterday who's done a great job interviewing people. We were debriefing on a person we were considering hiring. She had written great feedback. It was clear she had done a great interview, and that made me positively disposed towards her. And I had only met her that day. Bosses, if they're good bosses, are always looking and evaluating who's a star I can lean into, give more, and trust, who's a problem, who's a risk. We have a constant evaluator in our mind going, these people help me and I can trust them. These people screw things up and I have to watch them. Be on the good list. It's like Santa at Christmas. Be on the nice list, not the naughty list. Okay. Expertise. It's better to be an expert in some area than a jack of all trades. You can argue with me on this. If you're working completely alone in your own startup or you're an independent freelancer, you're going to have to be good at a lot of different things from finance to sales to whatever. But in most companies, particularly larger companies, they're hiring you to do one thing and do it really well, not to be good at a lot of stuff. So I'm supposed to lead and make money. Great, I do that. I have opinions about human resources. I like to teach. Fundamentally, Amazon's okay with me teaching. They give me a little bit of support in it. Internally, they're giving me a little more. But I'm not paid to teach. And so in the end, my boss is supportive, but doesn't really give a damn if I teach. Like, if I stop teaching and I still do my job well, I'm a hero. If I do my job well and I teach, that's cool. If I teach really well and do my job shitty, I'm fired. That's how it works. Again, truth not friendly stuff. Understand that you're paid to do one thing, do that well. Look for places to apply that more broadly, though. When you're good at something, do it in other areas. So if you're a good artist, help others. If you're a good engineer, consult with others. If you're an expert, you go across teams and you get known for your expertise. Finally, this is really important. Students sometimes come to me, and again, this presentation is because I wasn't able to go to Boise State in person this morning, Corona doom. And we have a lot of students here, which is fantastic. I hope you're having a good morning and you're not too hungover. I'm working on that now because today's drink, I would say is, but almost was, Bailey's in coffee. All right. Students come to me and they say, hey, I'm really excited. How long to my promotion? I've been here 2 weeks. How long will this take? Oh, it's normally about 2 years. How could I do that in 9 months? By the way, I think you're pretty old. That seems sad. But anyway, old guy, I'd love to be a vice president. What should I expect there? I'm very smart. 5 years? Now, they don't say exactly those words, but that's how it comes across. I love your ambition. I want to help you. The whole reason I do this channel is so that you can move up and have success in your career faster than I did, better than I did. Okay? That's what I want for you. It's why I do this. Took me 25 years to do this. If you can do it in 15, fantastic. But you're unlikely to do it in 3. The point here is be a little bit patient. Understand that careers are learned over time. You have a lot more to learn. Your degree is the beginning, not the end. There's tons of people in chat who are here with me all the time who can talk to you about this. Learning takes time. Expertise develops with experience and practice. Absolutely have a plan and push for it. Don't be crazy about it. Hollands, I am so glad you know everything. Please teach me. Mentors. Take jobs with different managers and customers over time. Work for people who challenge you. Having a boss who's disengaged and leaves you alone can be good for a little while, but you'll probably stagnate and hate it eventually. Get someone you can make a deal with and say, look, how can I help you and you help me? I love that. Good managers love people who make them a deal. When employees come to me with an offer and they say, look, I really want to grow and learn. I will do what you need. I will work overtime. I will work on unpleasant jobs if that's what you need done, as long as you help me grow and learn. I'm in. I will bust my ass for them because they're doing the same for me. So work for people who will invest in you, who will challenge you, though, who will push you. Get constructive input. We talked about feedback as a gift. I want to talk about mentors and sponsors. Looking for a mentor, someone who's not your boss, who will guide you, can be a great thing. You also, though, can simply study those you respect. When you see someone at work that you find yourself thinking, wow, that person's pretty good, you don't have to, you can and should maybe ask them for mentorship, but if they say no, or if they're busy, or if whatever, just watch them and say, what makes Samantha so effective? Why is Robert so ineffective? You can study other people and learn from them, or you can bloody your own nose instead. Be persistent. We often learn the most from challenging situations. Ideal situations are great, and I love them, but they don't actually push you as hard. Sad to say, I learned a lot from getting divorced. I don't recommend getting divorced, but I learned a lot from it. For those of you who are new to my channel, which is a lot of you today, I got myself fired twice early in my career. And I got to be careful with my words. I got myself laid off, or if you're in the UK, made redundant. And it was largely because A, bad economic times. Sound familiar at the moment? And B, big mouth. So they thought, this guy's kind of abrasive and we have to get rid of some people anyway. Why don't we make him one of them? Well, you learn from that. You learn. I learned a lot more because suddenly I was like, gee, I better take this problem seriously and learn to be more effective and less abrasive and more insightful and less critical. Hopefully you can learn without being, we love these euphemisms, made redundant. We're going to have a reduction in force. They all mean the same thing, which is welcome to the breadline. And that'll make you think. But learn from me, not from the breadline. Okay, a final word. I put Amazon in here because I want to talk about Amazon in this context. And by the way, all you folks at Boise State, Amazon's a great employer. There's my pitch. No, seriously, consider us. My career here has been fantastic. For everyone else listening, also consider Amazon. We do a lot of really cutting edge work. We also do fun work. Twitch is part of our portfolio. It's fun. Twitch Prime, what I run, is fun. But I won't get into pitching. T-Weirdo 40 Pink Dragons. Yep, she's got it. She's on it. Okay. At Amazon, we are constantly desperate for people who can do more. It doesn't really need to say at Amazon here. Good companies, all companies, are desperate for people who can perform. 70% of people, not my stats, well researched, are disengaged and hate their jobs. That means only 30% of the people are really trying. We're looking for more of that 30%, and we will invest in them. Now, hopefully not 70% of Amazon people are disengaged, but a lot probably are, unfortunately. We're constantly looking for people who can do more. So this is important. No manager in his right mind holds someone back. Either you can't honestly do all you think you can, or your manager honestly doesn't see it. There is the unlikely chance that your manager is not in his right mind, but that's unlikely. Cases A and B are way more likely. Figure out which it is. Talk to your manager and say, this is what I see. What do you see? That takes care of both of them at the same time. I see that I'm coding really well and have shipped more modules, I've launched more services than most of my peers. What do you see? Here's the data I have. Do you have different data, or am I doing the wrong things? 1 and 2 go away real quickly. Now, why? It's always fun and pleasant to believe managers hate people and they want to hold you down and not promote because that costs them more money and all this stuff. Look, when I promote someone, they do get paid more. It doesn't come out of my pocket. It comes out of Amazon's pocket. I get to spend someone else's money. Now, at Amazon, we're supposed to act like owners and consider that money our own, and I do. But here's how I look at it. I'm investing in someone who's doing more. I'm investing in someone who's more talented. That's a great deal for me. I'd rather pay more and get more. We all, right? This is like supersizing at McDonald's. You can pay $1 for the little fries or $1.25 for the bucket of fries. Why does supersizing work so well? Because everybody can see, well, gee, there's like 4 fries in this little one, and there's like 4 million in the big one. Buy the big one. The same is true for you at work. If you can be my supersized bucket of fries, I will pay you more. Simple deal. Be the supersize. All right. Machine Girl. Look, personal info. It's to keep people from spamming the votes. It's really simple. And we don't look at any of your info. If you're that paranoid about it, it's cool. Like, I've never looked at anybody's info there. It's to keep one person from clicking the button a million times. So it's one man or one woman, one vote. But if you're worried that like somehow I'm tracking you across the intrawebs and I'm a stalker, I got it. Be safe. But that's why. All right. Bottom line, I never listen to someone who says he didn't promote me. I say you didn't promote yourself. You didn't earn it. You didn't do it. You didn't talk to me and we didn't work out a plan. But I don't own promoting you. The key point is you own earning promotion. I'm eager to be able to promote you. It's good for me. Here's why. Whatever you're paid, the raise I give you, say 5%, 8%, 10%, 12%, is not going to be as much money as the new value I'm getting. The system is rigged, so that I pay less than the new value I'm getting, or I only pay equal to it. It's rigged in my favor. So I love this deal. I love to promote people. It's like you brought me a present. All right. Last slide, I believe, for this deck. Oh, bonus topics. So when I was going to do this lecture over at Boise, I didn't know how much time I would have. They said there were 2 other topics I should cover. I have 1 slide on each of them. They are related. Then I'll go to the questions in the widget. Interviewing. We're going to talk about resumes in the next segment of this show, but interviewing. This is the 1 slide summary of how to interview well. Number 1, appearance and enthusiasm. This is unfair, but psychologically, the number 1 and 2 factors as shown by research in what gets you a job are, do you look like a slob or not? And do you seem enthusiastic? Are you pleasant? Do you lean in? Do you have positive body language? Why? Why is this true? Why is this so unfair? I have a 4.0 grade point in some esoteric thing. I have a PhD in the science of whatever. I invented the internet like Al Gore. People want to work with people like them. They want to work with people that they seem pleasant to work with. And so subconsciously what goes on in their head is this person of my tribe? Can I relate to her? Do I like him? Consciously, then, what they do is they find things in your answer to justify how they feel. But this part is about getting at their feelings. You can say it's unfair. Sorry, I'm in the unfair department today. That's like, I need a logo that says unfair department. The truth is, you don't have to be beautiful. That's not what I'm saying. You don't have to be bubbling over with enthusiasm. But you can't go in grumpy, disaffected, and ragged, because that's how people will remember you. Grumpy, surly, disaffected, and ragged. So if you need to drink a Red Bull before you go into your interview, or if you're an introvert and you need to summon all your energy to be extroverted for a few hours, Do some of that. Okay, introverts are fine. We love introverts, but introverts suffer some in interviews, probably. I don't have data to back that up. That's my opinion. Okay, the rest of it. Give clear, concise answers. Don't ramble. You want to get to the point and then ask, does that answer your question? Did I answer your question completely? Because sometimes you hear a question and you think you've answered it, but it wasn't actually exactly what they meant. And sometimes interviewers ask a question and it's poorly formed. And after you answer, they're like, yeah, that isn't really what I want to know. You want to know if you gave them what they needed. So just ask. Because this isn't a written test where you can look at the question and reread it. If the question is not clear, therefore clarify. And particularly in coding and programming interviews, some people like to use this as a trick. They like to snooker people and say, I'm going to ask a question like something really broad, like, again, coding. What's a way to reverse a linked list? I don't know. What language? What are the contents? Blah, blah, blah. They ask, what's a good class structure to represent student enrollment? This is too open-ended. You don't know enough about it, but they're trying to trick you up and see if you will clarify. Now, some of them aren't trying to trick you up. It's just a bad question. Either way, the point is, if the question is unclear, ask. If you're stuck, ask for a hint. If you're interviewing, particularly in a college interview, you are not expected to know everything. Good interviewers push you to where you start to fail. And what they're doing is trying to see the limit of your knowledge. It's just like the SAT or the GRE, right? The online computer adaptive test. We're trying to simulate that and keep asking harder and harder questions to see just how good you are. If you get stuck, say, I seem to be missing something here. It's probably obvious, but under pressure here, I don't see it. Can you give me a hint? Now, you won't get as much credit as if you're brilliant, insightful, and see through the question. But you will get a lot more than if you end up just being like drool coming out of the corner of your mouth and going, I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of stuck here. Sorry. Like, go ahead and ask. Because that creates relationship with the interviewer and puts in their mind the question, maybe this was too hard. Maybe I wasn't clear. You build relationship and have a discussion. GMAT. Yep, another good test. Drooling is fine. Take a napkin. Have your own questions. Be interested. Prepare. All right, these are bonus topics. We're going to keep them fast. That is your one-page key to how to interview successfully. Networking. How to get the interview in the first place. It's great, Ethan. You've talked to me about how to interview. How do I get the interview? I'm brand new. This is aimed a lot at students, but anyone can do this. Can you hire me to go interview for me? No, I do coach interviewing, and I've got a lot of other YouTube videos on it. So if you want more, you can watch Devin Nash, another streamer, and I. We did Interview Royale. We do Interview Royale where we ask people questions until they die. And we had a winner. He's a follower in the channel here. I haven't seen him this morning, but we do that. At my last interview, I came with 5 to 6 questions, and they loved it. Yes, of course. We want to know. Remember, I'll tell you why. Why does that work? See step 1, enthusiasm. You're showing that you thought about the company and that you're curious about it. The reason questions work and matter is you asking good questions shows you care. If I ask you, hey, what questions do you have about my team? And you're like, well, I actually didn't know much about your team. I'm just hoping I can get a job here and figure it out. That's not enthusiasm. Not compared to the person who says, yes, I've looked you up on LinkedIn, studied what you've done. Tell me, how is Twitch Prime, blah, blah, blah. Is it part of Prime? How does it work? I had this suggestion. We love that. What we don't love is, well, I don't know. Can you kind of tell me what living in Seattle's like? Not that that's a bad question, but again, no enthusiasm. All right. Networking. Okay. Most students are told to go to the career fair and apply at the website. Sometimes that works. Networking is way more powerful. Now, to network, you have to build it before you need it. Why is that? Because if you only ever approach someone and say to them, hey, I need your help getting a job. Would you refer me for this position? That also works sometimes, but it doesn't work nearly as well as when you say, hey, I met you at this conference last year and we connected over LinkedIn. Now I'm graduating and I would love to get a job at your company, or even better, I have a specific job in mind and I was wondering, could you tell me a little bit about it and maybe the best way to approach interviewing? That's a great question. But that prior commitment, people don't like to feel used. It's that simple. Do you like to feel used? All of you have some friend in quotes, who only shows up when they need or want something from you. Is that person as popular with you, think about it, as the friend who shows up and helps you out when you're not asking, who hangs out with you and says, hey, how you doing? You need anything? How's studying going? Do you need help moving that couch out of your apartment at the end of, because your school just closed? Okay. That person is very different, gets different attention. So build your network now. For most of you who are in college, your college friends will be your strongest lifelong network. These will be people that you'll know your whole lives, probably, and they will always have a connection to you. And colleges are all about nostalgia. So when you're a geezer like me, you hearken back. My wife gets mad when I refer to that. I am Gen X, not a boomer. I am not old. It's a joke. Get over it. But I am probably twice the age of many of you watching. For me, college is a super pleasant memory. So when someone from my college contacts me, it's reminding me of all these I'm getting all the feels of all the fun I had. And so I'm already in a good mood. This is magic. Think about this. You reach out to your old college friend, they feel good. Now you ask them for something while they're feeling good, while you contacting them help them feel good, right? This is why that network matters. Second thing, last year's seniors are in the companies you want to join now. So if you were in a class with them, or if you're in a sorority or a fraternity or a club and you met those seniors, reach out to them and say, hey, you're at Acme Inc. Is Acme good? What jobs do they have? Could you help me understand them? Maybe help me get an inside line on one of them? Great way to network. Your network is your way to preferential consideration. Why? Remember, every person I hire is a risk. If you come from Boise State to Amazon and interview for my team, I get to meet you and my team gets to meet you for 4 45-minute slots tops. So we have 3 hours of exposure to you. What can we know in 3 hours? We can know your appearance. We can know a few things you said. That's not very comforting if I'm going to bet a seat on my team on you. Would you want to get married to someone after 3 hours? Would you want to get a new roommate? Some of you have done it. Tell me how it worked out. Feel free to pop off and chat. You ended up because you needed someone to live in the house you were renting or to join you in an apartment or in a quad. You picked up a roommate you didn't know very well. Some of you, that's like, he became my best friend. Some of you are like, oh my God. I'm worried about the oh my God scenario. But if I have someone on my team who says, I worked with Fred last year when he was a junior at Boise State. He's really smart, works great on a team. Now I feel hugely better. One sentence they said for you. One sentence. Why does that change my mind? Because they knew you for months. They worked with you. That's why your network is your way to preferred consideration. I would rather, and most managers are like me, I would rather hire the person who has good references who I might not think is quite as good as the person I interviewed that I don't know because they're lower risk. So build a network. Connect with people. Ask honest questions. You don't build a network by saying, hey, So in the future, I'm going to want to use you to get a job. And so I'd like to connect with you now because later when I need something, I'd like to be connected, right? You got to build a relationship. Last thing is LinkedIn is where professionals keep their networks. So be on Snapchat, be wherever you want, WhatsApp. But the professional networks are on LinkedIn, so be there too. All right, so I'm going to switch to questions. We'll do resumes next, but only after we clear some of the highly voted questions. So here we go. All right, and you guys have done a great job. You've voted up a ton of stuff. I love these. Let's roll. Mods, pin number 1, and let's have at it. These are your questions you voted up. I only get good feedback, and I feel like my manager is just being nice. There are definitely things I think I could do better as someone who's constantly critical of myself. But how do I get them to give me candid feedback? Okay, whoever wrote this, pat yourself on the back. Great question I should have covered. Your manager is afraid of social rejection. No, it's not imposter syndrome, Duke. That can be part of it, but everyone has areas of improvement. Imposter syndrome means you don't think you're as good as people are telling you. That can be part of it, but it is not all imposter syndrome. Remember the story I told earlier of the woman I tried to give feedback and she immediately defended herself? Managers have had the simple experience of if I give someone feedback, they're used to arguing me out of it. That's not true. I wasn't late on that. I don't write a lot of bugs. I'm not careless. I don't roll back deployments. How can you say that? I feel offended. I feel like you said that because I'm a woman minority fill in the blank. Okay. Managers have learned that sometimes it's not worth it. And bad managers or mediocre managers or new managers are uncomfortable because here's what happens. They say, well, I think you're late to a lot of meetings. And you say, when? When was I late? And now they feel put on the spot like they have to justify and defend. Now they should have examples, but remember, you ask for feedback. And so the reason you're not getting good feedback is your manager is afraid or lazy. There is a way around this though. You give them social permission. And there's 2 things you can do. I like Harstar as a fill in the blank. He's also a sub-gifter, which is nice. The reason a manager, the way out of this, 2 things. 1, tell your manager, look, I really need to know, even if I'm doing very well, you've been very flattering. Even though I'm doing very well, there must be something I could improve. If you had to pick of all my good skills, the thing I could still improve on, what would that be? That's a lot easier to answer. Well, you do great at everything, but blah, blah, blah. Second, don't surprise them. Say, hey, boss, I would love to get some constructive feedback. Do you think you could spend a couple days, part-time or a week from now and just think about it occasionally and come up with a list of things that I might improve? I promise I'll take them well. You give them social permission. You say, I promise I'll take them well. I promise that I will work on them and not debate you. Well, now you're much more likely. Oh, I can go to full screen here. Let's see. Let's do that. We'll come back to do the other presentation in the other view. So, look, those are the ways I'd solve it. Now, could be imposter syndrome too. I don't know. Let's save that one and roll to the next one, mods. Thank you for being here, by the way. I appreciate Pink Dragons, Kristen. Channel has 3 or 4 mods. They can't all be here this morning, but it's great to have them. They're super supportive volunteers. Okay. What questions should I ask in an interview to know if the position is really good opportunity for me to grow and level up? You can ask some questions in an interview about this, but I don't think an interview is the right place. So I will first answer your actual question, and then I will tell you how to be much smarter about this. I would ask, what is career development like at Acme Inc.? How do people normally grow here? What training resources do you have available? But the best way to do this is to ask the interviewers, hey, could I get your contact information so I could follow up if I have any more questions? And then the best way, so then what you do, so this is level up number 1. Asking in the interview is fine. Ask a few basic questions, but you can't appear to be interrogating the company hostile, like they're a hostile witness. And this can come off that way because in an interview, you want to make it mostly about the company and what you're going to do for them if you want the job, and less about what they're going to do for you. Because if it sounds like it's all about what are you going to do for me, that sounds as a hiring manager like you're going to be needy and a pain in my ass, and I'd rather hire the person who's interested in what they can do for me. Again, you can say, well, that's not fair. You're right. Life's not fair. As a manager, I'm trying to solve my problems, not your problems, because there's other of you, and I can go get somebody who's not as needy. So you may say, but I'm not needy. I just want to know. Well, it's all how you come off. So I'm going to tell you how to do better. You get the contact information of your interviewers, and then you go back to them afterwards and you say, thank you so much for the chance to interview for a position at Acme Inc. I really enjoyed our conversation. Could you share a little bit about your career with me? On LinkedIn, I see that you've been promoted twice. How long did that take? What was that like? Were any of those promotions at Acme Inc.? You're asking questions about the person, and people love to talk about themselves. Don't ask them, how do I get promoted? Ask, how did you get promoted? Was Acme Inc. a good place for you to grow? What sort of growth have you seen? So that's level up number 1. Level up number 2, if you want to kill it beyond that, is do what I said in the slides before. Don't go to your interviewer. Go to your friend who works there. Go to the person who was in class last year and say, hey, we were together at Boise State. I think you remember me from whatever, Glee Club, chorus, the football team. Anyway, I see you work at Acme Inc. and I just interviewed there. Can you tell me what it's been like for you? How has the growth been? Have you had a lot of opportunity? And here's the reason. They don't have any investment in whether or not to hire you. So for them, it's just a pure question. And they may tell you, honestly, I kind of wish I had not come here. I wouldn't recommend it. And that's golden. Or, hey, I haven't had a very good run here. Or they may tell you it's fantastic and here's how to do it. But you want someone, all right, here's some more ugly truth. Your interviewers have some motive not to lie to you, but to put a good face on things because they're trying to recruit you. What does the word recruit mean? I don't know. Somebody in chat will always post a dictionary definition because chat's actually better than Google because they have Google. But what recruit means in English is sell. They want to sell you a job. They want to sell you on the company. So the person who's interviewing you is not going to say, yeah, career development here kind of sucks and the projects aren't that good. They're going to tell you positive things. Go to someone not involved who has nothing. And even better, someone you have even the smallest implied relationship with. And they'll feel like, wow, yeah, Boise State, that was great for me. I don't want to F over another Boise person. I don't want to F over them. I'm going to tell them how it is because I have no skin in it. There you go. Recruit. Enlist someone in the armed forces. Yeah, that's kind of it. Recruit means to get someone to join something as a noun. Exactly. So, all right, we're going to move on because I think I really hit the meat on that one and we're done. As a college student studying supply chain management, what side skills should I work on to prepare myself further, e.g. programming? Well, look, I'm a software developer, so I'm never going to be sad if someone learns to program. But I don't know a super ton about supply chain management. The first thing I would say is be an expert in what you do. So if you're supposed to be good at supply chain management, be really good at it. Second, the next side skill I would work on are what we call EQ, emotional intelligence. I would work on being good at working in a team. I would work on being good at working as a part of a bigger project, because most students come out thin in those skills, and they don't, again, reference cave trolls. Most of work is not about the skills you learned in college. It's about working with others. And so I would work on leading a volunteer effort, leading a school club or activity. I would work on showing that you can be a cooperative part of some effort, a charity fund drive. And I would do that because that's more likely to help you. Be good at what you do, and then be good at working with others. Now, if you want to add side skills to that, project management, it's a lot about reporting, being able to track something, being able to drive it to be done is a good skill. Writing, be good at communication. If you struggle to put together decent communication, be good at that. So those are some suggestions, but a lot of the times you guys ask questions, you presuppose an answer, which I get, and I have to change the answer. And the answer I would change here is I wouldn't work on side skills, particularly hard technical skills, which is what I think you're asking about, until you're good at what you do and you're good at working with others. All right. World of Will, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. Since I built Twitch Prime, I and my team, I am super, I always love that. We donate everything from this channel to a charity I'm on, the Washington Trails Association. I'm a big hiker, but I appreciate subs and people who join the community. You support that, and thank you. All right, next question. I am trying to become a teacher as a single dad and study at the same time. Was wondering what's your advice on a good work plan to try and achieve the work and care at the same time. First, God bless you. That's a hard role. Being a single dad, tough. Being a single parent, tough. And I don't know if I'm qualified to advise you well. I guess I would say be prepared not to sleep a lot and unfortunately not to have a lot of personal activities. And Vash Cowboy, I see that. Hey, well, good for you, man. And I'm glad you're taking responsibility for your child. Some parents don't do that very well, and I'm glad you're thinking about it. I'd realize that life has seasons, and some of the other stuff you may want to do isn't going to happen. So whether it's nights at the bar or vacations, like some of that's going to have to wait, unfortunately. And then I would decide, okay, I'd put being a dad first, but I'd decide how do I do that well so that I have enough time to at least succeed as a teacher? Because you can't be a good dad if you can't feed yourself and your child or children. This one's super hard. We do have some other single parents here in chat who can speak up to it because I am not the expert. And by the way, for everybody who's new and watching, I try to be very honest when I am not the expert. I believe that chat as a collection is smarter than I am. Okay, I'm going to add a new moderator here. So we're going to increase moderator capacity. Okay, T-Weirdo3, you have been granted the sword. Kill all those who oppose you. And the rest of the mods will teach you how. Okay, single parenting, man, respect for you. I wish I had better advice. Basically, your children will grow up. They will become lower care. So survive and do a decent job and keep food on the table until you get there. Okay, next question. Next question is, managers want good workers on their team. If a worker gets promoted, they leave the team. How to manage this conflict of interest? This is a really fair question, and I really need to fix this overlay so that the full question displays. I'm going to get on that, but not right now. But it's annoying me, so I will fix it for the next broadcast. See, T. Weirdo just got promoted. There you go. It happens in real time. That's because she's a faithful member of the community, very helpful. She has provided a lot of the drink glasses we use for our mixology at night. So I normally have a drink of the show. Today, because it's morning, I did Bailey's and coffee. But T. Weirdo is part of our mixology crew. All right. Sometimes when people get promoted, they do leave the team, but not always. Good people often stay with a team, particularly if they have a boss who invested in them. So, in fact, each time I was promoted, as an example, I'm an example of one, I did not switch away from that manager because the manager helped me get promoted. Why would I leave a good manager who was investing in me? Now, some people do say like, oh, I got promoted. I was bored in that job. Now I'm going to go to another one. Well, look, here's the truth. If I'm a manager and you're bored in your job and you're just waiting for promotion to leave, if I don't promote you, you're going to leave sooner or later anyway, and you're going to be unhappy as well. So, and wow, Vesh Cowboy, being 22 and trying to do all of that, keep it up, man. And come back to the show if you have a chance. Maybe I can help you with some of the other skills that will help you over time. But look, for this one, basically only bad managers see a conflict of interest here. Good managers understand that either if they support someone's promotion, that person will stick with them because they have a relationship and they're working well together. And if that person wants to leave anyway and you can't turn that around, then at least I'm training up someone and I get known with my peers as a source of excellent talent. So, for example, I've been at Amazon nearly 15 years. Talstaya, greetings from Turkey. My wife and I hope to vacation in Istanbul this fall. So we hope to see you there, or at least to see your beautiful country. So I have people that I've helped grow and get promoted spread all over Amazon. Those people generally think well of me. So they're in other parts of Amazon saying, oh, yeah, I worked for Ethan. He's a good boss. He's a smart guy. He's hardworking. Whatever they're saying, he's good at growing people. That reputation has value to me. I didn't do it to get the reputation, but the point is I'm known as a good teacher and trainer and mentor, and that has value. It has value in my reputation and how I'm regarded and how effective I am, which in turn turns into how much I'm paid, right? Because if you're good in a company, you get paid more than if you're not. You get kept when times are bad, like they're headed into now maybe, and otherwise not. We're going to do a couple more questions here that have a lot of votes, and then we're going to do resume review, because I promised that as well, and I don't want this stream to get too long before we do that. We will then come back to other questions if there are some left. So, mods, you can roll to the next question. I'll do a couple more. I'll tell you when I'm cutting off to do resume review. But if you want me, if you haven't given me your resume, I have a few resumes that came in early from Boise State that I anonymized. If you want me to look at your resume later this morning, you need to send it to my Gmail, EasyCoach1. You can read this in our Discord in the announcements channel. You have to take off all your personal information. You don't want me displaying for 300 people your home address and phone number. So it's all in the Discord in our announcements channel. What should be my main priorities as an undergrad college student at an internship? Great question. This one should have gotten more votes. It just means there aren't a lot of people looking for internships, and they voted on what was self-interesting. But your main goal is to, your main goal usually is to perform well enough that that company wants to hire you the next year. Even if you don't want to work there, if you decide this company's not for me, or I don't like living in Poughkeepsie, New York, where they were based, you want the offer. It will make you feel good. It's a sign of success. So what you're trying to do, your main goal, is to get an offer. Either an offer to come back as an intern the next year or a full-time job offer, depending on if you're graduating or not. Okay, thanks, Ethan. How do I do that? We've studied, Amazon brings in several thousand, it's a huge number, several thousand software development engineers as interns every summer. We also bring in lots of MBAs and other things. If you want, what we've done is we've studied, and if you want to succeed, the number one thing is start doing real work in your first few days. Basically, broadly speaking, some interns come in and they're like, I want to get to know everyone, and I don't feel secure committing code, which is what we have them do. You have to apply this to your discipline. I don't feel secure committing code until I've learned the code base and until I know the tools. We've found that the interns that commit code their first week on the job do better, both short-term and long-term, than those interns that do not. You can apply this to any discipline. If you're an MBA, figure out how to generate an insight or write a report or start a research project and show some results. Basically, show results your first week. Simple phrase. And then do it every week you're there. But the people who are timid or insecure or just that's not their personality are not as successful as those who find a way to jump in. So that's my best advice on your main priority. Your main priority is get a job. The way you get a job is start doing real work, not medicine. Liger, absolutely. Give some people some random shots. Totally. You've got a lot of needles. You got a lot of bottles. Go for it. I mean, what's the odds that you'll do the wrong thing? Come on. Liger is our resident MD in Singapore. He actually works directly with COVID cases and some other fascinating cases. Yeah, okay. Internship in medicine, this is not like a summer internship, which is how I took the question. Yeah, look, if you're in some industry with different rules, but even there, Liger, you go ahead and say, like, what do you want interns to do soon? How can they show value right away? COVID patients laxative. Yeah. Well, yeah, okay. Let's go to the next question while Liger answers that one for MDs. Okay, when interviewers ask you, this is a really long question, I'll read it out. When interviewers ask, where do you see yourself in 5 years? My honest answer would be a manager position. How do I answer this question? I think the current manager might deny me to avoid competition. Probably not. Some managers are cowards and scared. We'll touch on that. Or interviewer will think I will quit the job once I find out there is no manager position available. My current manager is already in the company for 10 years. So in this question, I think it's fine if somebody like 40 Pink Dragons took a job and was asked this question, and she can confirm if I have it right, but she basically said, I see myself in your job, or the job I want is your job. Good leaders will consider that a sign of ambition and being goal-oriented. It is true that some people get threatened by it. If you are taking a job at a company where the current manager has already been in the role, not just the company, for 10 years, you're probably joining a company where there isn't much upward mobility. I would recommend that if you can, you join a company with more growth potential. And if you can't, sure, you might have to modify that answer and go look later for a different job. But Good managers, they assume they will be long gone, having moved up themselves before 5 years goes by. And remember, it's easiest for me to move up if I have someone under me who can take my job and fill it in. Because otherwise, my manager, I'm leaving him or her a hole, and she's scared, right? She's scared, oh, Ethan's leaving. Ethan wants to move up. I can't really move him up or give him this other job because he doesn't have anyone who can do his job. So Kristen is here, for example. We did a coaching session with Kristen a few days ago. She was just given a second team, but now she needs a manager or a leader for her first team because she can't manage both teams at once. So if she had someone who had said, hey, I really see myself becoming a manager, she would know who to invest in and give that opportunity to. So basically, I would answer this honestly. But you can answer it in a nuanced way. You can say, look, I'd love to grow into management. I would love to develop the skills and be capable of leading a team. And that's where I hope to be in 5 years. And I'm hopeful that Acme Inc. will be a great place to do that. That's how I would say it super positively. So much of this advice applies to bigger companies. I'm at a micro-sized company. I'm struggling to apply any of this. Daniel, I'm sorry for that. That is not my intention. I worked in small startups as well. The basic advice I have given is not big company, meaning I've talked about how to be effective, deliver results, and even if you're in a small company, someone runs that company. And if you're good at talking to that person and figuring out what needs to be done and then doing it, you will progress. There may not be formal promotions, but you will get more money, you will get more responsibility. It is, however, true that if you are in a micro company, you may run into a ceiling where there is not as much opportunity as if you changed jobs. You may have to change jobs. Liger asked me, and I normally don't take chat questions, but they are related to the question I'm discussing. Liger asked, would you want a whole group of people angling for the manager role, though? No, but that never happens. Most people don't want to be managers. Most people actually really don't want to be. They want to be stronger individual contributors. They want to pursue their art, their science, their craft. I occasionally have the problem where I have two people. Then I just have to wonder, are these two people going to hit this at the same time? Or can I use them both? Can I grow this person into the management role that I have first and this person into the management role I have second? Now, to the person in chat who talked about micro companies, what I do that is biased is I have worked almost my whole career in high growth opportunities, both at startups at first that were hiring, and then at Amazon. As an example, I built the Amazon App Store. So the App Store that is now powers Alexa and Fire TV, but originally was for our Kindle tablets. That team started at zero. We wrote a piece of paper. The piece of paper was reviewed and a budget was given, and we had nobody. And eventually that team under me became 800 people spread around the globe. That meant I had to hire, or my team had to hire, 800 people, which means I always needed managers. In that organization, I had about 75 managers. So I am used to high growth environments. I admit I have limited experience in relatively stagnant environments where you need to wait for someone to die. My best piece of my experience there is actually in my own role now. I'm a vice president at Amazon. The next official role above me is senior vice president, and there's only about 15 of those guys. And so getting a promotion to one of those levels would be very difficult. And to some degree, I would be waiting for people to die. I decided that I would transform my career and invest my extra energy in teaching, training, and developing because I find it personally fulfilling. But being very candid, if I wanted to keep growing my linear career, I would need to probably, not need to, but a good strategy would be to leave Amazon and take a CEO or similar position in a smaller company. And lots of my peers over time have done exactly that. So yeah, sometimes to move up, you need to move out. And if I really wanted to move up in title, I would need to move jobs. That is one of the options. I could also press for more responsibility internally. What I'm doing is I've chosen to do my current job really well and then invest in training Amazonians as well as training people to come to Amazon and being a good face for Amazon. All right. AW1442, thank you. Really appreciate the fact you enjoy it. And if you haven't followed the channel, I encourage all of you who are here this morning, even if you're students, I talk about this stuff once or twice a week. Please follow us and come back. We'd love to have you here. And I'll give my gaming analogy real quick, and then we will eventually make our ways to resumes. I say in gaming terms, my goal is to help you speed run your career. So I've had a great career. I've had a lot of success, the 800-person team, some other good stuff. But it took me 25 years. And as I said earlier, I managed to get myself laid off twice. God, I'd love for you to do better. So I use gaming analogies because they're fun and interesting. But my goal is to help you speed run the level. And how do we do that? Well, if you like gaming, and I'm an old D&D player, role player, your resume is like your character sheet. It's your stats. It's the summary of all your skills and abilities. And you develop by leveling up those skills and abilities. So careers have a skill tree just like an RPG. They also have classes. What's your major? Are you the fighter? Are you the magic user? Are you the priest? Those equate to different roles, right? Are you the tank? Are you the heavy carry? Are you the support character? There are roles that are support in companies, in small companies and in big companies. There is support. Liger says he's the minion. Yes, you might be the red shirt in Star Trek parlance. You might be the expendable person who never has a name, doesn't get a speaking part, and gets killed right away. But for your sake, I hope you're not that person. And I use that analogy because it's easy for gamers who like Twitch to understand Twitch and understand careers in the form of games. Many times I've thought to myself, what is the gaming analogy for my career? And how can I make it into a game that's fun to play so that I'm not worn down by it, so that I can play what is the support in a company? The easiest answer there is the administrative assistant. But support goes far beyond being the administrative assistant. Finance roles, legal roles. If it's not a law firm, you're in a company, the lawyer is support. They're supporting a team. The product manager is in part the priest or evangelist, but is in part also supporting the developers. Actually, the manager should be a support character, okay? If a manager is doing a good job, and Kristen, thank you for gifting a sub. I missed why, but that was really nice of you to gift to someone. And I assume it's a person who's going to be a great part of the community if you're gifting. The support in a company, a manager should be playing support. If I'm doing my job well, I am not out in front fighting the war, although I sometimes may need to lead from the front. Instead, I am pushing different people. 40 Pink Dragons, thank you for the huge amount, the 5 tier 1 gifts. And I'm glad to see one of our mods, Shadow Fox, got one. I'm glad to see Laser Soup got one. So a bunch of people that are longtime or highly contributing members of the community just got gifted. That's fantastic. If I'm doing a good job as a manager and I'm part of supporting, then my team gets better and I'm playing the role of building them up, healing them, motivating them, covering for them. That's the support role. So I hope that answers your questions. But I think there's a bunch of support roles in companies. And those roles are specialized sometimes, but you can also play support part-time. Who's the tank? I am the tank. See my last stream, we discussed that. Sometimes the leader is the tank. Sometimes customer service is the tank, I see you saying. Generally, the tank, though, is that person who can always get more done. So what's a tank in a game? The tank is the person who can go stand in front and suck up all the enemy's damage and hold the line. They can push the lane. And you can't kill them very quickly no matter what you do. The tank is the person who's super effective and efficient. All right, hype train starting. My old team, I no longer work with that team, but my old commerce team that built sub-gifting, bits, etc., built Hype Train. So if you're into Hype Train, by all means, feel free to donate some bits, which my team helped construct, to sub to the channel. It all goes to charity. And if you're not, feel no need that you need to. So either way, thank you. And thanks to all the people who started the Hype Train. So I lost track on that support thought, but tanks. The tank on my team is the person I can go to when the chips are down that I know will get something done. They're the super reliable, always going to deliver for me person. That can mean they work really smart. It can mean they're willing to work overtime or weekends when they need to, but the tank is the anchor, the person who's always there for the team. So we can't go through all the character classes, but they do all have workplace analogies. Let me move on, though, for now. I'm going to take 2 more questions and go to resumes. So that will take no more than 10 minutes. If you're waiting for resume review, I'm going to do that. Do you think there is a gap between getting a job and graduating college? This process felt completely broken to me when I experienced it, almost as if I spent my life learning and getting good grades for nothing. Well, here's a sad truth. Colleges, hey APUG, thank you for that sub, by the way. I'm glad to have you here. Colleges don't teach you how to get a job. There's no class in how to get a job. There might be a career center and they try and help you out, but no one actually teaches you how to get a job, which is what I'm trying to do some of today. So we have a huge problem in America where people are graduating college and then they're unable to find jobs. It's at one point earlier in her career, 40 Pink Dragons ran a warehouse team at Target, which meant these are people in the distribution center moving boxes around. And she had numerous college graduates who had found that the best work they could get, because Target paid pretty well, was moving boxes in a warehouse. Now, none of you in college are thinking, I'm doing all this work and I'm getting a degree so that I can stack boxes in Target, okay, and put things on trucks. But you may end up there if you don't have a better plan. Now, bad news number 1, STEM versus non-STEM, right? Science, technology, engineering, etc., math. STEM careers are very hireable. If you have chosen to manage in art to major in art history, you may have more trouble finding a job, because as a manager in a corporation, I do not know what use, unless I run a museum, an art historian is to me. And unfortunately, and if you're in art history, I'm sorry that it seems like I'm picking on you. You've chosen to pursue your passion in education, and your university has told you, oh, we teach you good general skills. You'll be well-rounded. Yes, you'll be well-rounded in the target, and you can have a great discussion with the other people in your target box loading team about art history. And if that's okay with you, pursue your passion. But you may need to get some employable skills. And there are a lot of degrees that are hard to translate directly to employable skills. And again, I said this early in the stream. I'm going to say it now. I'm in the truth department. That isn't my job at Amazon. I run Twitch Prime. But when I'm here, I'm in the harsh truth department to try to save you. Okay? Yeah. And so Liger, who's an MD, said, you should have seen my school when I chose to get a minor in Mandarin instead of the normal chemistry or public health, etc. But Liger's made it work because he went to Singapore where that was a value. You've got to have a plan and get some skills that someone wants to pay for. Now, if you really love art history and you can build enough skills in English, in writing, etc. All right, the hype train emote came through, so I got to share that because you guys put the hype train on. Thank you. When you it doesn't matter what your degree is in if you have good skills and you're able to articulate those and network to get a job, but you're going to be behind the people who have finance degrees, law degrees, things that I can immediately think. See, here's the thing. It's very simple. Your degree has a name. Jobs have a name. It's a simple question. For whatever degree you're studying, how many jobs have that name? So Liger studied medicine. There are lots of doctors. I studied engineering. There are lots of engineers. You're studying art history. How many art historian jobs are there? You're studying English. How many English jobs are there? It's not at all tough to figure this out. But all jobs require English skills in English-speaking countries and good writing. So you can translate that. You can move that to a place where you can be employed. It's going to be harder work. You're going to have to network. You're going to have to articulate your skills, and you may have to start in a job and find out what skills you have, because no one wakes up in the morning and says, I really need an English major in this job. Maybe if you're like journalism in a newspaper, those are all dead. So a tip here, there is a company, got to be honest, full disclosure, I am a seed investor in this company. It's run by a friend of mine. I put some money in. You can find a company called Astrum U, ASTRUMU. Astrum U is trying to figure out, and it's run by an English major, which is why I bring this up. And EagleHeart33, thank you for the sub. Welcome to our community. If you go to Astrum U, they are trying to figure out how to map and understand the skills you gained in these other degrees and how those are of value in companies. So they're trying to use big data and ML models to figure out, okay, the Boise State English degree. What companies have those people gone to, and how have they progressed at those companies, and are they highly successful or not? And then they can go to those companies and say, you know what? Of all the people in your workforce, it turns out the Boise State English majors are some of your best performers. We don't necessarily know why that happens in your company, but the stats show they are. Go there. All right, I'm going to take one more question. And then I'm going to do resumes, and then we'll come back to other questions. So, currently working in a family business. My career plan means leaving to work elsewhere, but doing so would betray my father and force him into retirement. How do I fix this? Luke, I am your father. I don't know. Dad's pretty old, probably not ready to have more kids. I'm surprised people voted this question up. I say I like hard questions. They wanted to stick it to me. I will do my best with this. And chat, feel free to weigh in. So we're going to tear this question apart analytically. And here's my point. You have presupposed an outcome. My career plan means leaving to work elsewhere. But doing so would betray my father, emotionally loaded, and force him into retirement. There's a bunch of conclusions there. First, Korean American Barbecue correctly says it's your life, bro. And that part I agree with. You are not forced to lead your father's life or his vision for you. You should consider it, but you are not forced to do so. All right. That said, have you discussed this with your dad? Have you discussed with your dad the possibility of what he really wants? Like, you're afraid that he will feel betrayed. Now, couple things. Is his feeling betrayed his problem or your problem? Meaning, that's his feelings. That's his choice to respond. It's a little bit pompous of dad to say, you must do what I dream for you. You are not independent. You are fruit of my loins and I own your life. But before you presuppose that he's going to feel betrayed, talk to him. Ask him. Say, hey, Dad, I have other dreams. How do you feel about that? There's other ways to say it that are less confrontational. Hey, Dad, there's some other things I'd like to do. How could that work for us? What might work? You start the conversation saying, these are some of the things I want to do. How would that work for you? What else? That's thing number one. Thing number two, forced into retirement. Maybe can your dad hire someone else? You can have the conversation with your dad. Hey, can I help train someone to take this up in case you want to keep working? But again, you got to know, you say he's forced into retirement. Have you had the conversation? Maybe your dad is like, woohoo! As soon as I know I don't have to keep this company alive for you, I am selling it to the highest bidder. I am headed for the beach with my pina coladas. Good luck in art history, son. You have no idea. Okay? Maybe you do. You may not, because you may be afraid to ask, and there's all this emotional overloading in what you think your dad wants. So, boiling it down so we can do resumes, which we're doing next. Very immediately next. You're currently working in this family business. You need to have the discussion, see if you can help your dad with his emotions that you think he may have, and with his plans, which you better figure out for sure. You can give him some amount of time and not drop it on them. And then what you do at that point is you live your life. My opinion is you cannot and should not sacrifice your life for daddy's vision. You have a reasonable right to be happy. It doesn't mean you don't respect your father. You're already working there. It doesn't mean you don't pay back. But you do not owe it to your dad to slave away for him or her forever and to be unhappy through you get one ride around this rock. You have some right to also have your own needs met on that ride around the rock. All right, you folks keep putting in good questions. I will come back to them. What I want to do right now is switch over. I promised I would do the Boise State Resume Review Workshop, and I'm going to do that real quick. So this is only a few slides, and then we'll go to live resumes you have submitted. And that's if people do. 40 Pink Dragons and the other mods will explain ways to submit a resume. Join our Discord. The email address should be in the announcements channel, and I will take as many of those as I can. You do need to anonymize them, or you're going to need to come in chat and say, I am fine with my real name, real address, etc. being displayed, which some people are. I don't recommend it. We have 300 and some viewers here right now. It is unfortunately true that one of them might not have your best interest in heart. Okay. Resume review. And for those of you that have joined in the last couple hours, I am Ethan Evans. I am Vice President of Twitch Prime at Amazon. Despite the fact this slide and all my slides say confidential Amazon.com. There is nothing confidential in them. I was too lazy to remove the watermark because it didn't seem important. And so I'm going to discuss this for a minute. I have a few example resumes here, then I'm going to move on. What else? Oh, when I speak here, I am not representing Amazon. This is not an official Amazon anything. It is Ethan's personal opinions, of which I have many. Hang around and you can hear more. So, this was supposed to be an interactive workshop, not very long, so it's very short. And then I was going to teach by example how to make a good resume. First, let's talk about the purpose of a resume. Then we will do some quick tips. There was going to be a handout in class. It's not here. We'll live without it. No big deal. I'll give a few examples. Then we will go to your questions and to resumes you submit. To do that, you have to join our Discord, get the instructions, and email them to me. Okay, here's the most important thing I can say. People misunderstand the purpose of a resume, and I will show an example of this in a minute. So the purpose of a resume is to get you a call. It is not to get you a job. It is not to get you an on-site interview. The purpose of a resume, basically the entire purpose, is to get someone to pay attention to you and call you back. From there, it's how you interview and how you interact that comes next. The reason I say this, and we will see an example of this, is people feel like they can litigate their way into a job by putting so much on their resume that it's like, I have proven I am deserving of this job, you must hire me. This is not a good strategy. I have noticed by reviewing a number of resumes on stream and otherwise, women tend to get more into this. There is evidence that shows that women feel they cannot, as a generality, as a statistical group, feel that they cannot apply for a job unless they meet every single qualification. So what they get into is believing that if my resume shows I meet every qualification, they must hire me. When in fact, your resume is just crowded and hard to read and I move on. So I don't end up hiring you, not because you're not qualified, but because I'm bored with all the crap on the page. Remember, recruiters are lazy. They're not bad people. Everyone is lazy. We do what's easiest for us to get the result. Okay. If a resume gets you a phone call, it was good. End of story. We will talk about different resumes, different formats. If it gets you a call, it's good. If it doesn't get you a call, you need a different one. Amazon glances at several million resumes a year. I know this. I've seen the stats. Our recruiters touch multiple millions of resumes a year. That's your competition. Think about that. Your resume has to stick out through millions. Your resume will be skimmed, not read. It will be glanced at. Is this worth bothering with? Yes or no? That is the only question I have. I don't care about your history. I don't care about your struggles. I don't care about you. Sorry, harsh truth. At this instant, I don't care about your hopes and dreams. You're a piece of paper to me, and that piece of paper needs to be sorted into one of two piles. Worth my time, not worth my time. It's that simple. So you're trying to go into the worth my time pile. And worth my time means it's obvious to me that you probably have enough skill to be worth calling. You might be someone I want to hire. Now, you don't want that. You'd rather I'm like, oh, this person has a compelling story. They've studied all this stuff. They've been in these clubs. And I'm doing all this deep psychoanalysis of the potential you have. And that I care about you as a human. And I'm thinking, oh, you know, I can make a hole in my team for this art history major who is pursuing their glory and chasing their dreams. That shows so much passion and dedication to the arts. Not happening. Yeah, art history majors are really taking it hard this morning. I'm sorry. I'll have to find somebody else to pick on. Every line has to earn continued attention. Uh-oh, coming in. What's up? I got to step out. Hang on. It's okay. Thank you, though. All right. So my loyal community was pointing out that I have a LinkedIn tab up here somewhere that has somebody's name in it. Yeah, here, Campbell Harvey. So that's actually okay. Thank you, though, for being on your guard about what I should have up in tabs. I appreciate the community caring that much. And that's why my local mod squad called me out, because I never want to leak information. However, Campbell Harvey is going to be our guest on a future broadcast. He is a professor of finance at Duke University, and he's going to be on a Tuesday broadcast with me and Devin Nash. If you're into finance, markets, stocks, etc., Campbell is an amazing guy, and here's why. He's the gentleman, apparently, I am told by someone who knows him better, he is the gentleman who found the correlation, this is technical, to when the yield curve on treasuries and the yield curve inverts and recessions. So this is a guy who basically discovered the correlation between one of the significant signals of impending financial instability and what was the cause, or at least a signal of it. So he and another Duke professor are going to be on a joint show of Devin Nash and myself at 5 p.m. Tuesday, Pacific time. So we always announce shows at the end, but I shouldn't be leaking anything. That said, Campbell Harvey is going to be on, so having his name up, no huge deal. But if I was going to show a resume with a blanked out title, it would have been bad. So we'll close that tab and move on. And thank you to my chat for being on guard. Like Pink Reaper, I hope to do that someday. I would love to teach online at a big scale. I don't have time to do it right now, but maybe someday a college will let me do this, and it can be for credit and a job. Okay, finishing this list. Look, my decision, or a recruiter's decision, is this resume worth forwarding? There is one secondary purpose to your resume, and that's guiding an interviewer. So if I'm going to interview you later, someone's told me interview you, and by the way, that's how it happens. A recruiter decides, is your resume worth forwarding? A manager looks at it and says, this is worth interviewing. They assign it to a member of their team. This person sees you as a task they need to check off. The decision has been made whether or not they should interview you. They don't have a choice. They're going to get on the phone with you and try to decide, do you have enough on the ball to be brought in? That is the whole process. Smaller companies, somewhat different, but basically, like the manager may make the call, but generally the manager is delegating, because when I'm hiring those 800 people that I talked about earlier, I don't have time to do all those interviews myself. Now, over the course of my career, I've done over 2,500 interviews. I've done a lot, but my teams collectively on my behalf have done tens and tens of thousands. So, all we're deciding in an interview, I may be using your resume to figure out what to ask you about, figure out what you've done. I appreciate all of you being here. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Don't lick any corona patients. Only lick the bottle. And I will see you later.